If you're interested in grabbing freely available Yahoo data for your algorithms, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to cover the Y-Finance library, and I'm going to show you how to get all of the Yahoo Finance data, which is freely available. But I must caveat this by saying, I would not recommend using Yahoo Finance in a live trading algorithm. It's just more for research purposes, or if you're not there to get a paid service like Polygon or Quandl. But anyways, I digress. Let's go ahead and see what we're going to cover today. We're first going to install Y-Finance if you don't have it already. Then we're going to import the Y-Finance and Panda libraries. Then we'll go ahead and download historical price data using one ticker and then multiple tickers. And then after that, we'll download some fundamental data again with one ticker and then multiple tickers. Then we'll learn how to get options data and institutional holdings. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with a clear example of why you probably shouldn't use Yahoo Finance for live trading. The blog article is right here. It's already live and essentially covers the same thing, but I do detail a lot of the methods are easier to read here. So you may want to browse over there if you have questions regarding the different signatures and things like that. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started before I digress too much. Installing Y-Finance is super easy. I'm going to use pip, type bang pip install Y-Finance. I'm not going to hit enter here, but if you are in Jupyter Notebook, you'll have to put the bang so that way Jupyter Notebook knows to run this as a command. If you're just at your shell with your virtual environment activated, you can just type pip install Y-Finance and that'll give you or install the library. Now, the next thing we'll do is import Y-Finance and pandas. So we'll type import pandas as PD, import Y-Finance as YF. Simple enough, hit enter so they're available to us. And now before we go on with downloading one ticker, another way you can find out what's available to you is just type dir YF or go to the documentation. But we can see here, we're going to be using this stuff here, but we're probably going to be concerned with ticker and also the download there. So even though it might feel overwhelming, it's pretty easy for the most part. So speaking of pretty easy, let's download the data for one ticker. We'll just say, let's see, TDG for TransDigm. It's an airplane parts manufacturer. Ticker, we'll do TDG. So what we're doing is we're using the Y-Finance ticker to download the TDG symbol into TDG. And I'll just hit enter here, and you can see that it is indeed a Y-Finance ticker object. Okay, so pretty straightforward there. And if you're curious on all of the functionality available to you, you can just check out this right here. So there's clearly a lot you can do with that ticker object. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get the history for TransDigm. So we'll type data equals TDG history. And then I'll just do data head, not to take up the screen with all of the data, but you can see here that it gives us daily data, open, high, low, close volume, dividends, and stock splits. Pretty straightforward, but it might be more interesting to select a certain date. So we'll do data, TDG history. We'll do, and change the interval, right? Interval equals 1 minute. So now with 1 minute data, I believe you can only get 1 week of data. So start 2022, 01, 03, and we'll do end 2022, 01, 10. Data.head, this should give us minute data. And it indeed does. You can see 9:30, it even has a time zone. So it looks like it does skip a minute here, which is common with minute data. If no trades were transacted during that time frame, it would just skip a bar. That's pretty much how it works. So there's no reason to send data to us if nothing happened. Okay, perfect. So how long did that take? Less than 4 minutes from start to finish to learn how to download minute data. Okay, now let's go ahead and download multiple tickers. Let's go ahead, we'll say data equals YF download. So this time we're using download and not the ticker class. And then we'll select two tickers. We'll do Goog and Meta. and the period will equal 1 month, and then data.head. And now we can see it has that progress bar. Now we have Google's and Meta's data. Now, if you want to change, how the headings are laid out, so, obviously the columns are up here and the tickers are down here, you can do that quite easily. Data equals YF download, pass it the same tickers, Meta, and we'll also do a start and end. Again, it's pretty similar to the single ticker, right? Then end 2021, 12, 30, and then group by. And then what we do here is essentially decide what to group by. I believe column is the default, so this time we want ticker. And then we'll say data head. And now you can see, now we have it grouping by the ticker first, and then the OHLCV values, okay? So pretty straightforward. So now 5 minutes in, let's see if we can keep this moving. All right, so how to download fundamental data? Well, when we're downloading fundamental data, we're just going to use the ticker object. So this time we'll download Danaher, which is another industrial company. Ticker, DHR. You can type it lowercase or uppercase, it doesn't matter. Let me just verify that for you, not to make a liar out of me. There we go. Okay, good. So DHR, we'll do info equals Danaher info. This just gives us essentially a lot of the often requested information, right? So, how many employees, what sector it's in. Let's see, dict object has no keys. Info, did I not get that? Let's see here. Okay, there it is. Okay, so here we have a dictionary object. There's a description, and then we have the keys there. So try it again, because that was definitely a dictionary object, huh? See, so this is one of the reasons why, you gotta be careful, because sometimes, you just have issues with Yahoo Finance. So anyways, here's all the dictionary keys, so you can see zip, sector, full-time employees, long business summary, city, etc. So that's all of the stuff available to you if you want to grab that general information. And then to access this, it's pretty easy. Let's just say we want the sector. That's in healthcare. So pretty simple. And if we also want the earnings, we can grab that. So pretty straightforward, but let's go ahead and get some more interesting information. We can do DHR get financials. I'd rather just said P&L, financy. So that'll get us the profit and loss. I consider financials all of the financials, not just the profit and loss, but that's okay. It comes from lots of accounting. So anyways, let's grab all of the financial statements. We'll do DHR financials. It's a P&L, we'll grab the balance sheet, and cash flow, and we'll say financial statements equals PD concat P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow, and then we'll output those financial statements. So you can see now we have aggregated all the financial statements together, so you can come up with whatever metrics or analyze, what percentage of CapEx to revenue or whatever you're interested in. Okay, and now the next thing we want to do is go ahead and transpose this, because it actually is a little bit easier to see if you do it this way, right? So now we just have our rows by date, and then here's all of our columns up above. So what's next? Well, let's see how we can do this for multiple tickers, right? So this assumes that you're going to know that you know pandas. I mean, almost all of these libraries assume that. So we'll have our tickers right here. Got them all. And now what we want to do is create ticker objects for all of them. We'll just replace tickers. We'll just do some list comprehension, ticker, ticker, for ticker and tickers. So what are we doing? So for every ticker, right, in these tickers, return it here and then pass it into YF ticker. So that's list comprehension, pretty common in Python. So now we have a list of ticker objects. So now we can iterate through all of these ticker objects to get what we want. So what we'll do is I'll first create a list of data frames. And then for ticker and tickers. And now let's say we'll get financial statements for each. So we'll do P&L. Again, this is what we did above. Ticker financials. We'll do balance sheet, ticker balance sheet, and then cash flow equals ticker cash flow. So now we're just going to aggregate all of these together, right? So concat into, we can spell into one data frame. So we'll do financial statements equals PD concat, P&L, balance sheet, cash flow. Okay, and now we're just going to format this to make it a little nicer, right? So I'll just do make data frame format, I don't know, nicer? Perfect. So as I showed before, we transposed that to make the rows, you know, on the left-hand, I'm sorry, the dates on the left-hand side and the columns for the actual field. So let's get it in that format. So we'll do fs transpose, swap dates and columns. Okay, data equals data.reset index, because what we want to do is we want to reset index or date into a column, right? So right here, that's the index. We want that into a column, and we can do that by resetting that index, but now we need to rename that. So we'll do data columns equals, and bear with me here, data columns, skip the first one. So what we're doing is we're skipping, we're keeping all the columns the same, but we're renaming the first one, okay? And we use this operator here to kind of explode the, the list already. So essentially it's date, skipping the first column, which is that index, and then we pass in a list. So we're just basically passing in a list of columns to essentially get the columns that we want in the order we want. Now let's add the ticker equals ticker.ticker. Say add ticker to data frame. Okay, and I'll just rename old index to date. And then we'll append this to our list. DFS append data. So again, all we're really doing is for each ticker, we're taking the profit, loss, balance sheet, cash flow, smushing it all together using concat. Then we're just transposing it a little bit just to make it into this format, to make it a little easier to read. Then we append it to a list, and then we're going to just smush them all together so we have all, again, we have this, and then we're going to put 4 of them right next to each other because we have 4 tickers. So you'll see what I mean here. In fact, I'll press data here just to give you an understanding. So this might take a second to run depending if Yahoo Finance behaves. What did I do here? Expected access has 63 elements. New values have 2 elements. 14. Okay. Data columns equals date, data.columns, oops, that would be why I didn't mean to put the 1 here. I wanted to start at the first element, not end at the first element, right? So this is just slicing, right? So this just means skip the first element and continue to the end, okay? So that's what I did there. The joys of coding live on YouTube. Okay, well, not live, but you know what I mean. All right, so now this is what our data looks like, right? So this would be for the last ticker, Google, because it looped through, so this should be Google, right? And then we just have a list of this data frame in here, all 4 of them. So now let's get them in a format where we can see all of them together. So this might seem a little bit strange, but bear with me here. We're going to create a new parser. Parsers.base parser parser base use calls none. It'll be like, Leo, what in the world is this? Well, we've got we need to make sure that we don't have duplicate columns whenever we're concatenating. So what we do is we go for df in dfs, so that's data frames. We'll do df columns equals parser, maybe dedupe names, df columns. So we're just going to dedupe the names, okay? Simple as that. And then we'll create a new data frame, pd concat dfs ignore index equal true. And then we'll do df equal df set index ticker date and df. And now we can see we have our tickers on the left. We have a multi-index, right? Our level 0 is the ticker, our level 1 is the date, and now we have all of the data neatly organized so you can manipulate that however you want to. Perfect. So that's probably the hardest thing that we're going to do today, but maybe the most useful. But now let's go ahead and look at how we can get the institutional holders. Wait, did I miss something? Oh, yes, I did miss something. Hold on. Not going to do institutional holders yet. We'll do, check here. Options data. I might miss something. How to get options data. Okay, so perfect. So now what we'll do is we can get options data pretty easily. Let's just use Apple YF ticker. And we use the ticker object for almost everything. Okay, so we've got that Apple object. Now the options chain is super easy to grab. So we can do options equal Apple options chain options, and that'll give us Apple options. I bet you it's option chain. Yep. Okay, so here is the option chain. You can pass an expiry if you want to. So we can do Apple options, and then you can pass that date into the options chain if you only want that information, but that's okay. So now you might say, Leo, make sure, how do I get the calls and puts? Pretty easy. So do calls equal options calls. And then you can do the same thing for puts. Puts equal options puts. Okay, and that's pretty much it from an options perspective, right? It's super easy to get, and they are their own type, obviously. But let's go ahead now and get the institutional holders, which is, again, super easy. Like I said, getting the fundamentals, multiple fundamentals, and pushing them all together, that's the hardest thing we're going to do today. So we'll just do apple.institutional holders, if I can spell that right, institutional holders. Okay. And that's pretty simple. You can see the top 10 institutional holders. And now let's talk about why you shouldn't use Yahoo Finance. You did see above there when I was trying to get the dictionary information earlier. I'm not going to scroll up, but it just came up with an error. Same thing for, you'll just encounter other stuff like this. So ticker FB. Okay, we'll do meta equal YF ticker meta. So we have we know Facebook changed its name to Meta, okay? These should be this, we should get the same data, right? So let's see what happens from a cash flow perspective. Oops, get cash flow, right? And it should give us some information. And indeed it does. Now what happens if we say meta get cash flow, and there's nothing. So we can see here, even though these are the same stocks, they're giving us different information. So again, Yahoo Finance is probably the best free source online for free stock data, but again, it's free, and I definitely wouldn't use it for live trading simply because you get lots of connection errors and also data errors like this. So hopefully you enjoyed that video, and now you're able to download that freely available Yahoo data so you can follow along with all of the other algo trading videos that I create on this channel. So hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.